This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. Today is December the 18th of 2020. What a week it's been. Strong hand, long-term thinking. Bitcoin is next. Bitcoin in motion. Personal responsibility is the new counterculture. I am offended by selling. Who couldn't be offended by selling this week? Compete, don't complain. Conviction really paid off this week, didn't it? Hello, my elite friends. Follow me on Twitter, TechBalt, TechBalt. Ask questions. You can do a super chat. The panel will be happy to answer your questions, or type in BitcoinMeister. Wow, this was a memorable week, wasn't it? I mean, it was like all-time high, $20,000. Hello, everyone. Now, we've got Anders is in the house. John and Deniz are in the house. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back, everyone. As you can tell, all the fiat freaks and people who value their wealth in Bitcoin are quite excited this week. And I'm gonna tease you a little bit. We're not going to talk about the price right away, because there was other big news. I mean, if the Coinbase announcement was made on any other week, that would have been huge news unto itself. Crypto exchange Coinbase is officially going public. Coinbase has filed its IPO paperwork with the SEC, and I think it's great news. There's a $28 billion IPO valuation. Masari says Coinbase might be worth $28 billion. Okay, so John, what's your thoughts on this Coinbase news?
To be honest, I don't care that much. Coinbase doesn't factor into my thinking about this space or buying Bitcoin or anything like that. I know a lot of people use it. I know it's it's a big exchange, lots of liquidity there. Some of the bigger players are using it to acquire their Bitcoin. So, whatever. But I've been a opponent of their practices for a long time, and just how they get down and what they're building and what their focus is and how they communicate and how they operate. So, look, I mean, in this environment where there's so much fiat money sloshing around, all money is looking for a home. There's a ton of speculation pretty much in every domain. And it seems like we're at the beginning of a bull run where lots of people are starting to look toward Bitcoin and crypto, I suppose, more broadly, once again, and perhaps on a larger scale than ever before, definitely on a larger scale than ever before. It makes sense for them to pull the trigger on this now and cash in. And, the thing is, what are they going to do with the proceeds? They're probably going to continue doing what they've done in terms of how they've operated. And it's partially good for Bitcoin, I guess, because it will be the doorway through which a lot of noobs acquire Bitcoin for the first time. And to that extent, once they get in the door and they start learning about it and they consult a lot of the resources in the space and they have skin in the game, and then they start to engage in Bitcoin differently, then that's great. And to the extent that they continue to operate as they have and direct people's attention toward things other than Bitcoin, then it's not great. But it is what it is. It's the market, and it doesn't occupy much of my thinking even after I heard the announcement. So it is what it is. It's good for the space in terms of valuing other companies in the space, I guess. Like, I'm hoping that such a huge valuation for Coinbase will mean the Bitcoin-only companies that I'm sure a lot of us really appreciate and like, it means that their relative value may go up in the minds of people that are valuing businesses now in this space. So that's good.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to take a few steps back and look at the bigger picture. Also, I mean, this is going to be the first major American IPO related to Bitcoin. So there's going to be big coverage of this. I think it'll add, not that we need the seal of legitimacy from traditional financial markets, but it will add an aura of legitimacy that previously may have not been there. Do you have thoughts on that, on the bigger picture? Like, it's the first IPO.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of eyeballs will come to the space. A lot of new money will come to the space. It'll trickle down into other areas. It'd be interesting to see, actually. And so, yeah, it's good for Bitcoin. It's good for Bitcoin companies. and it's good for just general awareness and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see off the back of this what, you know, in 2017 it was the ICO craze, right? Once people see that there's huge money in this, yes, it's good for Bitcoin, but what else will it attract to this space? Like, what's going to be the ICO of the 2021 bull run? It'll be interesting to see what takes that mantle, if anything different, or if it's just the same all over again. But yeah, good pros and cons, but this is par for the course. It's to be expected, and you know, I just keep buying and hodling Bitcoin, and that's from the companies that I think are doing it the correct way in the space, and all the other attention is great, and it also, Adam, gives us an opportunity as people to create content in the space. Those more eyeballs, you know, rising tide lifts all boats to some degree, and hopefully we can, you know, appeal to some of those people and get them looking at it or offering a different perspective on how to think about and engage with Bitcoin.
Well, you asked what's the next ICO. It'll be DeFi, and Coinbase will allow people to DeFi over there, get interest. Who knows? It'll be a Bitcoin bank that people will be encouraged to leave their Bitcoin there, which of course we're against. But hey, they're going to get massive funds to do it. Compete, don't complain. There will be Bitcoin banks. They will be heavily regulated. Coinbase will be one of them. Speaking of regulation, everyone, we will talk about the rumored regulation of the wallets coming up in this show. We're going to have to talk about it. I don't want to scare anyone about it. Okay, let's go to Deniz here. Deniz, what do you think about the Coinbase situation and the IPO that'll probably come in early 2021?
I think they timed it pretty well based on what happened with the all-time high. So I think they're taking advantage of the situation, as Brian usually does, which is fine. Like, I don't necessarily hate him or like him. He's just like, yeah, he's out there to get as much money as possible out of this market, which is fine.
Dude, Dennis laying down the calm explanation. I love that we went to me screaming to Dennis, like, yeah, man. No, man. Indeed, very good point. Short but sweet, baby. That's the way we like it. Anders, what's your take?
Overall, I think a Coinbase IPO, which is going to get a ton of noise and publicity, is just great PR for Bitcoin. Unfortunately, you know, some people will go there, open an account, and end up buying you know, dirt coins, which is sad and a shame, and they will be scammed by Coinbase to, you know, appreciate those assets, although they should not be appreciated. But overall, it's going to give a huge hype to the space, and for that reason, I think it's positive for Bitcoin. You know, again, as John, this is not like we can easily do without Coinbase, but hey, it's going to be publicity, and that's great. I'd rather have that than something else. What I will say is to Coinbase, yeah, get it done on you know, before exchanges become irrelevant, because once the fiat currencies collapse and become irrelevant and don't exist anymore, then how are the exchanges going to make money? Because you don't need to unload dirty bags to buy real good quality money. So they need to sell their business model while it's still relevant, because 10 years from now, I really don't think that anyone, including the United States government, wants to accept their own currency because it's not going to be worth much. It doesn't have a future, in my opinion. So sell the exchange while people still value it. The only way they can make money going forward is by being a bank, as you were talking about. There'll be an income there, but you don't make as much income on that as you do by charging, I don't know what they charge, 3-4% for all the dirty fiat coming in, being converted to solid, valuable Bitcoin.
Well, yeah, they with all the money they will raise, I think they'll be able to pivot to a different business model. And yeah, it would be a Bitcoin bank is the first one that comes to both our minds right there. There are also people talk exchange tokens. I don't know anything about exchange tokens, but apparently they'll be able to print their own money. There's a lot of different ways they can go if the scenery changes. So let's talk about the and by the way, I like what Deniz said. Good timing on Coinbase's part. They knew it was going to go to 20,000 this week, didn't they? No, I don't know, but it did look real nice. It looked real nice. They can claim that they did. But yeah, let's talk about the changing scenery and what actually helps change the scenery out there. And unfortunately, it's government regulation. And the rumor is the U.S. Treasury is about to impose new restrictions on money service businesses that interact with self-hosted crypto wallets, as pointed out by Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong. There we go, he's all over the place, and reported by The Block. It's anticipated that the new rule will request MBSs to file currency transaction reports when a client conducts a crypto-related transaction above a yet-to-be confirmed threshold. The rule might be similar to the current reporting transactions well established in the traditional financial world. So it hasn't come as the rumors were a little bit they were a little bit different last week or during Thanksgiving weekend. Now it seems like, okay, what the rumor is, you've got your Bitcoin and you want to sell it on Coinbase. You send it in, and they just report it to the government that, hey, Adam sent in $5,000 worth of Bitcoin. This is his address. We are sure this is his private address, and it's just they're helping the government create a big database of all of your cryptocurrency information and how much you're sending back and forth, and that they're giving to that. Now there are ways of avoiding that, obviously, but let's hit on the regulation itself. So, Anders, what do you think about the latest rumor?
I think that it is a clear example about how government is government for government and not government for the people. And clearly, there shouldn't be a need for government to know what you necessarily hold of savings. I don't think that's none of their business. Of course, they need to know what they need to know,
Oh, wait. Is Anders frozen for you guys?
Yeah.
Oh,
you froze. Okay, Anders, come back. You're there.
Yeah, so as soon as I'm done with this rant, I'll go open the door to the Wi-Fi. Maybe that shouldn't be closed. So overall, I think it's government for the government, not government for the people. It's none of their business what you have as savings. I understand they need to tax whatever they need to tax. I'm not pro that, but of course they need to know transactions. But I don't see any reason why they should know what people hold as savings. It's they become a target then for all different kinds of even criminal activities, because we all know that centralized authorities cannot keep information private. One huge entity after another is hacked and out comes the information. I don't want anyone to know that I almost have one Bitcoin. I don't want anyone to make me a target.
Indeed. Now, will this create this is going to create a lot of paperwork for these dudes, and we don't know what the limit. Well, first of all, we still don't know if it's going to happen yet. It's still a rumor. The administrations are still going to just a change in administration. So this is the Treasury Department under the current administration. Perhaps the next one will be different. Perhaps there's already an agreement. The transaction. You would think both parties want to keep track of everyone at this point, sadly. But Deniz, what is your take on the rumors here?
Yeah, even if they do come to fruition, it's sort of like, well, if enough politicians at some point own enough Bitcoin, they're probably going to get rid of it. So I figure in the long term, it's going to be a non-issue. Short term, yeah, I could totally see people getting incentivized not to take their crypto or Bitcoin off of exchanges. But I think it probably will happen in a place like New York, just because I know how things are around here. It'll definitely happen in New York at some point. But there are people who are going to take advantage and be up for making money off of that situation. So let's say someone doesn't want to take it off themselves. There will be people out there who do want to take advantage of that and charge them fees to, like, all right, I can figure out how to get your Bitcoin non-KYC'd at some point. So there could be like short-term opportunity there if it does get passed.
Now, I also want to say we don't know what the cutoff number is. Like, hey, so if I've got $4,000 on Coinbase and you're just sending it to, you're not selling it. You're just sending it to your own, your Trezor. The United States government is going to, they're going to have to report it to the United States government. Now, I always thought that they were probably reporting it to the government anyway. That's another point I wanted to make. Like, I thought, you know, if I'm buying from Coinbase, they're probably telling the government, I mean, they got your social security number. It's pretty easy to track. Now it's going to become part of the law, though, that every transaction from your Coinbase wallet off of your Coinbase wallet will be sent to the government above a certain number. So for all of you scared about that, worried about that, get it all off now. Don't have it now. If you're keeping it on the exchange, you get it off now. Maybe they won't report it. I bet they are reporting it anyway. John, what's your take on all these rumors?
Well, I echo a lot of the stuff that's already been said. One, like, I have always considered that anytime I use a KYC exchange, that everything I do is knowable by, you know, government, let's say. Like, I've never thought I was under any veil of secrecy doing so. So to me, like, as much as, and I also always expected, you know, in the kind of plan for the worst, hope for the best scenario, that the government overreach and would continue to accelerate and get worse and worse. So, like, to me, if this goes through, it's not a surprise, nor does it change much in terms of how I engage with Bitcoin, because, you know, now, because if I was going through KYC exchanges, I assume that was known, and in my longer term idea of how we navigate this transition, you know, increasing government enforcement and privacy infringements and stuff like that, we're always a part of it. Now, hopefully, you know, for some, maybe it incentivizes them to look for alternatives, and maybe we get more liquidity in things like BISC and whatever else, and solutions to these things emerge in tandem with the legislation that's being brought to try to restrict this industry. And so we get more restrictions, we get more solutions, we get more restrictions, we get more solutions. And it's kind of like a scaffold that's put around this until one day we can take it down and we find that everyone's engaging in Bitcoin in a highly private, highly, you know, secure, highly anti-KYC sort of way. And the transition of that final breakaway from the formal system is much easier than it otherwise would be. But, you know, I don't think any of us ever anticipated that, as much as we've seen a lot of tailwinds recently, and there's politicians supporting this now, and the institutions are coming, and yada, 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 government's going to want to have some semblance of control on this, or at least attempt to establish it. And, you know, it's our job to use the technology to the extent possible to mitigate the degree to which that attempt impinges on our freedoms and our own control over our own asset here. And, you know, so for me, it's pretty much par for the course, and maybe it's a wake-up call to some people, but you know, not a huge event for me.
All right, pound that like button, everybody. Hey, Anders, you were having technical difficulties. You're back. Do you have anything more to say about the regulations?
Not really. I don't know if you guys could hear what I said, but yeah, you know, I think. Oh yeah, one last thing. There's gonna be judicial arbitrage. I have seen it already with friends in the Bitcoin space. America's regulation, I see how it is moving people with wealth out of the country due to regulations that they just don't like. And I'm not just talking the Bitcoin space, I'm talking everything. So yeah, I you know, hopefully it doesn't get too bad, but Bitcoin doesn't care. It's a honey badger. And if you don't make it a good place to be with Bitcoin, people will leave. And that's not good for America. But I think, you know, I have great hopes for this nation. I think that once we have sound money in the United States, so you can remove that, you know, insane level of corruption and money dilution, and then U.S. is going to be a great nation like once it was. I see great potential, and I'll look forward to that on the behalf of U.S.
Yeah, so this could wreck some innovation here if the regulations do involve a lot of paperwork. it's only going to be bigger companies that are going to be able to deal in this aspect of Bitcoin, and thus smaller companies who might have gotten in and might have been innovative they will never exist. So that's your jurisdictional arbitrage, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, the smaller companies won't come to the United States. They'll go somewhere else where they won't have to deal with such regulations. Unfortunately, there are plenty of countries. I mean, the Netherlands is worse what's proposed over there. But like John said, for me personally, this doesn't really affect my, how I deal with Bitcoin and stuff. I mean, I don't need to go through these traditional rails that so many people do. I mean, I already bought my Bitcoin, and if I need to buy more Bitcoin, then perhaps if things get crazy with the KYC thing, you just go to a Bitcoin meetup and you hand somebody some cash. I mean, there's always ways around this, but also what John said, and I can't stress this enough. I mean, I thought Coinbase was already keeping track of every single transaction that we made through them, even if I've never sold at Coinbase before, but I bought at Coinbase before, and I thought they told the government, Adam Meister bought this much and he sent it to this address, and I just assumed that. So now it's just official party line. All right, so don't worry, people. It seems like this, when this rumor first came out during Thanksgiving, there was more panic. Now, well, first of all, not everyone has covered the rumor today. It's just a few different places right now, but I'm sure it could explode at any moment if the government makes an announcement. So have a strong hand, people. Have a strong hand. Sometimes people sell the news. All right, let's talk about are the institutions here. John made a reference to that beforehand. Bitwise made a big announcement that they have this. You can pretend you own Bitcoin through Bitwise now, and it is sort of like GBTC. Then we had the announcement. Ruffer confirms a $744 million Bitcoin investment. So, are we on the verge of institutional FOMO? What's up with that? We'll start with Deniz on this.
Yeah, I think so. It's coming out that a lot of these companies were buying back in 2014, and they were buying during the whole bear market of 2018. So I think it's already here. You mentioned it in, I think, one of your other episodes that we're not necessarily early anymore, and I agree with that 100%. I think it's becoming more and more known. I mean, it's kind of hard to find a person who doesn't know about Bitcoin by now, but they're not paying attention to all the institutions that are coming through. So there's going to be a delay in that with new coiners.
It is not the 2% early part of the curve anymore. We're like in the 11% now. There's that chart, because yesterday I wasn't going to talk about this, but when you've got some rapper lady shaking her booty on Twitter talking about Bitcoin, you're not early anymore. All right. I mean, it was like flapping around. Every part of the body was flapping around. It's not early anymore when that's happening in dealing with Bitcoin. For those of you who value your wealth in that. Now, let's. I want to hear your take on this, John. Not the booty flapping, but the. The instant. I mean, we got these dudes, Ruffer. They got rid of their gold to do this. I mean, it's a little bit more complex than that. So, what is your take on the pump? I mean, the Bitcoin price went up a lot. Is this it's all institutions now? Are we in corporate Bitcoin domain now?
I think there's a few things at play, and just a comment on the booty flapping. It's and I talked to Croesus about this before because he's done some good models on this. And I think it's important to understand, there's different types of adoption. Like the mainstream pop culture adoption that's happening now, I would say is still largely in the Bitcoin will make you rich sort of thing, right? So we're not sharing much of a narrative with those people. It's cool, it's new money, it's so that's I think a consideration. So I don't think those hands are necessarily strong hands, they're not hodl hands, they're fly by night sort of stuff. But look, I think the fact that it's broken its new all-time highs means that the tulip argument is gone. You just can't, once something reemerges and exceeds its old all-time high, you can't so easily call it a bubble anymore, and no serious person would accept, that characterization. From what I hear from retail exchanges, even though I know, the Google Trends stuff is not showing a lot of retail FOMO, and maybe it's not getting as much media press as it did in 17, I know all the exchange people that I know are saying that they're seeing record signups, record transaction volumes, all that kind of stuff. But to your point, I do think the thrust of this is probably institutional money coming in. Like, we know the obvious, Saylor kind of kicked that thing off, even though, of course, there were some before him. But he was a very public person who did it in a very public way. And I think that narrative of how it can be used as a treasury asset, and the narrative of, let's say, digital gold, and the narrative of inflation hedge, and the expanding narrative of what this thing really is, that us maximalists, continue to try to refine and understand ourselves. I think that's starting to percolate through. And right now we're seeing the very, very, very early adopters on an institutional level. And so those people are, and when they come in, as you said, they come in with 500 million, a billion plus. And in a market that's as tight as this one, that can easily move things. And again, I think this is where a lot of our, bullish price predictions come from, is because that's peanuts, both in terms of, the number of institutions that have come in and the scale at which they've done so. When we have institutions coming in the multiple billions, but potentially tens of billions, there's just not enough of this stuff around for them to scoop up for prices to remain the same. And that's going to put a lot of upward price pressure on Bitcoin. But yeah, I think this is the very beginning of institutions starting to get it, see the value prop, and making allocations. And to them, we also have to consider, every time Bitcoin crashes up, reaches a new all-time high, we celebrate, and then we're like, oh, Bitcoin's kind of expensive. Now, I know we're not stopping stacking, but we're still like, wow. But these institutions that are getting in now with their $500 billion, they're scooping all this up. They're not looking at 25,000, 30,000 saying, gee, this is expensive. They're saying we got to get as much of this as possible while we can. We've all heard Saylor's references to going to bed feeling, with anxiety, feeling chronically short. And I think they'll feel that way, all the way up to 100K and beyond. So, and that's the thing about Bitcoin that's so crazy. Is like the value prop of Bitcoin, what it represents vis-a-vis and in contrast to every other option that's available to deploy your capital into. What is the ceiling of value for something like that? It's way beyond 100K, obviously. And I think institutions are when they try to place their valuation frameworks on it, they're coming back and saying like, well, we can't use any of our traditional models, but what this represents compared to everything else that we have available as an option is, priceless. Or, of course they have to put something on it to communicate these things, but I think they'll be buying all the way up, and it'll probably get peaks and troughs as most bull markets have, but I think there's going to be a sustained demand from institutions from this, and increasing as we move forward. 2021 is probably going to be a huge year for institutional buying.
What's the ceiling here, and what's the way they're evaluating it? I think it's 400,000 based on the gold number. The CIO of Guggenheim basically he brought up the 400,000 Bitcoin number, and that's basically taking into account the market cap of gold, and that Bitcoin is gold 2.0. So let's pretend that most of these institutional guys have that in mind. That's the way they're calculating this. Of course, they're going to think $22,000 is really cheap compared to 400,000 or 300,000. So it's full steam ahead for those dudes. What it appears to be. Now, you say that people in the retail side that say that the retail numbers are increasing, and they can increase, but those people might just be buying $100 a pop or something, and it can be eclipsed so unbelievably fast by a big institutional whale coming in there. It makes it look like peanuts. Like 1,000 people bought $100 worth of it, but then Saylor comes in, buys millions and millions of it, and it's just the retail stuff is now pushed to the side. So retail people, don't be left behind, dudes. Ththey are pumping up the price. Now, So again, all these publications are trying to say, why did the Bitcoin price go up so much lately? It's because of these darn institutions. I go back to Michael Saylor on August 11th, my show. I said that was the biggest news of the year. The biggest news of the year was Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, making the announcement that they were putting it in their treasury, and then it made it cool, or it made it acceptable for all the other companies to admit it and try to do it or to think about it. So enough of my rant. Anders, your take on all-time high and institutions and everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, so I happen to think that 2020 has been a phenomenal year in many ways. You got to stay optimistic and look at the positive. I think first of all, the amount of stimulus the governments around the world have chosen to do have just really helped Bitcoin spur on its growth. And one of the things I love the most about 2020 is what you guys already mentioned, also John, is Michael Saylor coming in and using Bitcoin in a company the way that Bitcoin is meant to be used, as a store of value, as one of the very important aspects of our money. Great to hit the all-time high of 20K. So, even though I have rationally been saying that this, more or less was going to happen for at least 2.5 years, then being here now at 23,000, I'm pinching myself and realizing that this whole parabolic curve that I have been talking about, and many others and the guys in the chat, it's actually happening. So, but I think, in terms of where we can go in this bull run before the next halving cycle, I would say that 400,000 is looking increasingly realistic as a top. But also, I will say, and this makes me lose a bet to Pablo.Huddle and Greg, who are both in the chat, that there is an increasing chance that we won't have a real bear market anymore, because the speed at which Bitcoin's price is exploding, which is ahead of schedule, actually, and it is because fiat is dying much faster. So there's a real risk of this going parabolic even in this cycle, and taking over as money of the world, because money is a winner takes all game. So there, and Bitcoin already won. Like Michael Saylor said, he got it totally right there. But let's be realistic. There is a ceiling. Of course, there is a ceiling for Bitcoin, even at the end of this decade, and that ceiling is infinity.
Pound that like button. Hey, I want to remind everyone, I have, people always ask me to make predictions. I'm not making the $400,000 prediction. I'm just saying what the Guggenheim guy said, and the logic behind it. And there has to be some calculation these dudes are making, and it seems logical to me if they're using the gold 2.0 calculation. Deniz, do you have anything more to say about this? Were you lighting fireworks on the day that we got over $20,000?
Not really. I mean, I'm pretty much expecting what's happening, just like the previous cycles. Not that it's going to be the exact same. It's going to rhyme, but I think what people need to keep in mind is that if this is going to be the gold replacement, it's at least 2x. So that's pretty much that's the number I tell people if they're like, oh, the price is too high, it's too expensive. Well, if it's going to be better than gold, then it's at least 2x better. And I think Saylor agrees that it's he said 1 million, but that's super bullish.
And I want to go back, and we should all be bullish. We should all be happy. But it's something that I wanted to point out that Andrew said there might not be a bear market again. I would not. I wouldn't get on that train of thought just yet, because we're real happy, and I think it's gonna. I think it's every time during the bull market it overshoots. Like 20,000 was too high last time. Maybe this time, I don't want to say a number, or some huge number will be too high, and then in 2022 it'll go woo. I mean, we gotta be ready for days where it drops $10,000, days where it drops $20,000 and stuff. So I don't want to say there'll never be a bear market again. And I don't know if you Andres, if you have anything more to say about that. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
In terms of
yeah, I just if you had any clarification on your bear market prediction.
Okay, yeah. So let me go into depth for that, because honestly, that's what I spend hours every single day trying to analyze the price and the anatomy of the bull run, as I call it, which I find extremely interesting. So what is worth noting is that because, in my opinion, stock to flow has been accelerating slower than previously, because it was going up faster. It's not only the halving, every single block, the inflation rate goes down. So if you look at those numbers, you'll see that. But to get to my point, the bull runs have been getting longer for that reason, and the price anticipation of the halving that start in the increase of the price that has started earlier and earlier. So the last bear market was 12 months, and it kind of, if that is to continue, and I don't see why it wouldn't, that bear market can't take more than 6 months, in my opinion, or close to it. But honestly, again, because of COVID stimulus, the incredibly fast dilution of the currency, the way they're killing the fiat currency currently around the world, that there's a real chance it won't be a 6 months bear market, but maybe just a 3 months correction. We might not go to 50% a correction. We might not go to 40%. That's going to cost me 2 steak dinners with Pablo and Greg in the chat. But this might be just like a 30% correction, a little bit of downtime, some weak hands getting rid of their Bitcoin, handing it over to smart people, strong hands, and then off to the infinity race.
All right. I want to say in the chat, Charlton said, thanks for the show, Adam. Strong hand. Indeed. John, any more thoughts on bull markets, bear markets, what's been going on? A huge price. I mean, I think a lot of people were surprised that it got to 20 before the end of the year, and then it just got to 23 all on the same day, 21, 22, 23. Some people predicted it, but John, any general price talk you want to mention?
Not price talk. I mean, I like everyone, I think this could happen faster than even we expect. I oscillate between thinking that and thinking it's going to take longer. I still think there'll be bear markets, though the length and depth may be shorter, but nothing grows in a vacuum. Everything consolidates before it moves to another level of growth. You see that all throughout nature. The thing I'm most excited about is the unlock that this bull market is going to have for a much larger cohort of Bitcoiners than last time. Because the people that have held for the last 3+ years, let's say, and the nature of the attention on this, and the nature of the macro landscape behind it, and we've seen this just for being 3K over the last all-time high, like just the attitude from Bitcoiners. Like I think we're going to see a lot of Bitcoiners stepping out in this run, and doing things on their own, leaving their fiat job to try to contribute in some way. And I can't wait to see the blossoming of all these Bitcoiners going out and having the financial stability to actually start, expressing who they really are in the world and what they really want to be building and contributing. And that's going to feed into the accelerant that all the other accelerants that we've already articulated. And that's the most exciting thing for me.
Yeah, indeed. There's excitement all around, and I love what Andres said. I don't know if Andres even knows. I say the same thing that Andres says. This has been a great year, and if people, you need a mentor, you find out someone who says this has been a great year. And Andres he just said it on his own there, right there. So it has been a great year. And by the way, I joking about the booty shaking on Twitter. I think it is awesome that anyone can find out about Bitcoin. There are no excuses. The people shaking their booties, they can get in before freaking Wells Fargo does. That is, there's nothing holding people back from getting in on this. So everyone is welcome in this space, and no one can be banned from this space either, which is really cool. You might not like booty shaking, but you can't stop it from being here, baby. All right. So talking about banning. Unfortunately, we're going to go to politics here real quick. Ross Ulbricht, there are rumors all of a sudden that the president might pardon him, that they at least caught his ear about this. Now, the president, he lost, and there's going to be a new president. So you think that he pardon as many people as he wants. I mean, he's go wild on the pardons, more so than he would any other time. Do any of you have any thoughts on Ross Ulbricht and the possible pardoning situation, or any of the people that have been mentioned now? They're mentioning who are remotely associated with Bitcoin. Julian Assange, he's associated with Bitcoin because he WikiLeaks had to use it, and now the rumors are that he might get pardoned. Anyone? Any takes on that from the panel? I know that wasn't a planned question, but I just thought about it.
I mean, I'd love to see it. Obviously, Assange, Snowden, Ross. I mean, that would be amazing. I think Assange and Snowden have a better shot because they're way more public figures than Ross is. To me, Trump pardoning Ross, much as I'd like to see it, would be surprising because Trump is pretty anti-drug, and that's kind of what Ross is associated with the Silk Road. Assange and Snowden, it'd be maybe a bit of more of a middle finger to the establishment on his way out sort of thing, and they're very public people. But I mean, wouldn't that be amazing if he did that, on the way out, the three of those guys and possibly more people deserving of a pardon were pardoned, and I think that would endear a lot of people to Trump on his way out. But so hopefully we shall see.
I think there's a part of me that thinks it's more likely for him to do the Ross because he might just most people don't know who he is, so you could just kind of slip it in there, and it would only be Bitcoin people celebrating, and they focus on some other person that he let go, that he pardoned, and they would try to say it was a bribe or it was associated with his hotels or something, and the Ross thing could just slip in. But you make a good point. He's associated with drugs, and he's kind of has a line in the sand with drugs, but he has let he had that criminal reform before prison reform, where a lot of guys that got out, I think, were associated with drugs. Do any of you guys have anything to say about that?
Free Ross, that's all.
That's all you got to say. All right.
President Trump, if you're listening, just free him. All right.
All right. Very, very, very interesting. Well, the Bitcoiners will be happy about that one. We'll see how that progresses. Some other news that was a little bit beyond Bitcoin this week, but it just shows you how big the cryptocurrency space has become. They're going to be Ethereum futures now. That was announced. So I don't know. Do any of you have a? I know we've got some pretty hardcore Bitcoin guys here, but it was news, and it got overshadowed because it happened on the day of the all-time high. But do any of the panel members have thoughts on the Ethereum futures being announced? All right.
I'll say something.
Okay.
So when the futures came out for Bitcoin,
yes,
that's when that triggered the bear market. So that's probably what everyone is expecting for Ethereum at that point. But I'd like to see it not affect Bitcoin when that happens.
I doubt it affects Bitcoin. We'll see about that. What happens? But good luck to the Ethereum people, and good luck to all the screamers about manipulation. If it's futures, that was a big thing with the Bitcoin futures, that the mysterious entities, were going to be able to manipulate Bitcoin. And look, guys, with patience, Bitcoin is at a new all-time high. So they couldn't. People were saying we'll never get back to 20,000 because of the Bitcoin futures, and I don't know what the whole logic was, but quote unquote logic was behind that. All right, so I think we've covered mostly everything. Oh yeah, everybody remember TikTok, Coinbeast. Deniz, it does Coinbeast stuff too. Deniz writes for Coinbeast. I'm doing TikToks for Coinbeast, so that is linked to below. Watch that stuff. I'm in motion. It's a golden age, dude. There's so many opportunities out there, and Deniz was just a regular Bitcoin dude on social media. he got in motion. He saw the opportunities out there that I talked about on my show, that you can work from home for some of these companies part-time, and he jumped on it. So, hey, do you have anything to say about that Dennis, about the golden age and the opportunities that are out there for regular people?
Yeah, I feel like not enough people are taking them. Yeah, I mean, you said I was the only one who contacted you about it. That's kind of a red flag for me in general, like with, I think, the state of things for a lot of people. But yeah, like you and Andres said, this is probably one of the best years for not only Bitcoin, but myself and a lot of other people. A lot of great things have happened.
Yeah, people don't have the confidence in themselves, when an opportunity comes up there, to jump on it. I think most people, their default is like, I'm not good enough, it's too good to be true. Dude, this space is growing. There are opportunities all the time. You could be pure Bitcoin. You could be definitely altcoins or whatever. There's all sorts of great opportunities out there. So that, this is the second to last show of the year, I guess. Next week is the 25th. So I guess I should ask the guys, what was the biggest story for you guys this year, or conclusional remarks for the year on your part, Anders?
GigaChat Sailor. That's the biggest story.
I agree with that one. I think
with the GigaChat news, but I still keep coming back to that it's Bitcoiners. That's always going to be the story. But as Dennis was just saying, like, a lot of people have come into the space this year. A lot of people that were in the space have grown a lot this year and have improved their situation and have refined their lives, and and creating great stuff, whether it's content or businesses or whatever. And so the thing that gets me the most jazzed, I mean, I love the price, I love GigaChat coming in, but it's just to see what Bitcoiners are becoming and what they're creating just genuinely makes me the most excited of anything.
Okay, Dennis, your conclusion remarks for the year, your takeaways on the year.
I think the best part is working from home. So much time is saved. This is probably one of the few opportunities the millennials and Zoomers have the opportunity to just get back at the older generations. If you're going to do the whole generation thing, for the longest time, a lot of corporations have been very strict on getting people to come to the office and do their work, but you can do it all at home. So I'm glad their hand was forced because of that.
Yeah, if people are finally understanding the power of the internet, that you don't need to go to a physical office. That was a positive right there. And for all you people starting your Bitcoin businesses out there, you don't need to be located in San Francisco. I think that's pretty freaking obvious at this point now, after what we've gone through this year. So it's been an adventure of a year, and it's been great for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's definitely given us a present here at the end by ending on such a positive note. So speaking about ending on a positive note, we're at the end of the show here, and I'm going to let everybody talk about what they're doing or mention some news that I didn't bring up this week. It feels like I'm forgetting something here, like something happened. I don't know if anybody in the crowd has any questions there about news you'd like us to talk about. But we'll start with Anders. What are you up to, and any news you wanted to talk about that I didn't bring up?
Yes, Adam, I just want to say once again, thank you so very much to be on your show. I'm happy, I'm honored. Thanks, John and Dennis, for hanging out. You're great guys. And then I want to share a little story, Adam. I was on your show about 2 years ago, and then this guy, Poplord, or as he calls him now, Guydie Bennett is his handle on Twitter. He reached out to me after I'd been on his show. We just clicked. For 2 years, we've been talking Bitcoin every single week for hours, and then we decided to put it online and make our little show on my YouTube called The Toxic Happy Hour, where we're just having a ball. We had John on recently. It was a lot of fun. So that's what I'm up to, and thanks also on eToro that sell a lot of different dirt coins, as I call them. when I'm being nice. I now, so as a so-called popular investor on eToro, you compete against each other. Whoever gets the best performance, get more people allocate their savings to you, so their copy of you does what you do in real time. And so I'm up against all these other, cryptocurrency portfolios. I am 100% hodling just Bitcoin, and that is outperforming every single other portfolio in there. So my 100% hodl strategy is bringing it home, because I now have more than half of all the assets under management are with me, and they're all on Bitcoin. So right now it's 2.8 million US dollars, but the other day it grew, like just from yesterday, it grew 300,000. So Bitcoin is helping me out to help them out. And there's a lot of noobs coming in. They go, but what about Ethereum? What about Litecoin? What about ADA? And I'm helping them. I steer the course for them on 100% Bitcoin allocation, so they in a better position with their families a couple of years from now.
Dude, what an in-motion story. Just by being on my show, you met someone and you came up with, you produced. I mean, that's what this world is about. I mean, you created, and you were and that's great that Pub Lord and you got together because of the show. And I want to ask you, speaking about eToro, have you seen the advertisements with like Alec Baldwin in it? I mean,
Yeah, I've seen some of that. Honestly, I can't even remember because I don't really look too much at it. What I'm concerned about is, look, there's people in different phases of becoming a toximalist, which I'm proud to be toxic towards people that scam. And some people, you got to help them first of all steer away from dirt coins. And so eToro does different things to bring people in to their platform. I don't like focus enough on that. I just focus on making sure people get their 100% Bitcoin allocation and outperform the dirt coins.
You see, that's such a great point. People are looking for other people to manage their crypto portfolio when it's just as simple as Bitcoin beats everybody's crypto portfolio. People always want to, this is an old saying of mine, but people always want to do something with their Bitcoin. Do nothing with your Bitcoin. Don't turn it into something else. Just let it be there. If you did nothing with your Bitcoin, like I have over all this time, you're in darn good shape. It got to an all-time high. The only thing I did is you collect the crypto dividends. You collect the forks and the airdrops, and you control your own private key that way. Also, you don't let anybody else have your Bitcoin. All right. Let's go to John. Your conclusionary remarks. Any stories that were left off? What are you doing?
No, I think you covered it, man. And as usual, it's a pleasure to be on here and have a chat. And thank you guys for the opportunity and the discussion. And yeah, I mean, I do the podcast. I've been doing a little bit more writing lately, which has meant less podcasting. But in the new year, I think it'll be kicked back up into gear. And it's called Bitcoin Rapid Fire, for anyone who wants to check it out. And I'm available on Twitter as well, and always active there with all of you guys. So yeah, I love that these things happen. I love Toxic Happy Hour that just popped up recently. I love, as you said, Adam, the production. The people just are so motivated and inspired by this thing, and they feel like they need to flare it off somehow. They gotta express it somehow, and that's what they're doing in everyone's chosen way. And I love to see it, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it in 2021. And may everyone who's doing it, do it the way they want and experience success and all that. So I hope everyone has a great Christmas and New Year's, and I'm sure we'll connect in the new year.
You're very modest because you interviewed Saylor. You did interview Saylor, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't mention it. Did you have any big takeaways from that? I mean, does he? I asked someone else that interviewed him. Does Saylor care about regulation very much? He seems to be. What I've gathered is he's cool with it. I mean, that's not his interest in this. This is like this is a store of value, and so the whole what we were talking about before, United States government regulating it, it's not an issue with him. Did you get that impression?
I think he's extremely savvy and smart. And I think he's coming from a vastly different perspective than most of us Bitcoiners. I think freedom has been in many domains established in his life for a long time. I don't think he's ignorant of what Bitcoin truly represents in that domain. I think he's, to a certain extent, playing the game that he needs to play right now. I think he realizes this is a Trojan horse. And so I'm not, I know when he tweeted a couple weeks ago, there was a bit, the Hornets swarmed him a little bit, turned on him. But no, I think he's more savvy than that. And, I'd love to discuss it with him the next time we chat, what his true feelings are. But I suspect even then he wouldn't share them all, because I think he knows what this is, and he's engaging it the way he thinks is most optimal for his situation right now. And, that's my feeling on it.
He's a unique beast. He's looking out for himself. Good for him. Good for him. He's not giving in to pressure. And yeah, people don't put him on a pedestal. He's going to say things you don't like. Okay, you don't go inquisition on his tuchlis because of it. But a lot of people love to do that. If you say one little thing against a certain Bitcoin narrative, you're out.
It's part of the charm of the space too. We got to do that just for posterity, just to keep everyone on their toes.
I fight again. I am a unique beast. I am in the Bitcoin overlay. You can send the Inquisition to me. You can't shut me up. Hey, here's a question real quick from Marco Esquandolas. What's your opinion on Gemini and Coinbase claiming their cold storage is superior to Ledger and Trezor? Are they really making that claim? I do know. You never say a third party does a better job than yourself. Have self-confidence in yourself. Okay, that's my thoughts on the Ballet wallet. My thoughts on the Ballet wallet. It's something for newbies. It's something for newbies. You try it out, you learn from it, and then you move to something else. What Bobby Lee is doing, he's an entrepreneur. You don't have to buy his freaking Ballet wallet. It's not hacked. It's not some conspiracy or anything like that. It's something for newbies, and they're supposed to move on from that. So did you guys hear those questions? Do you have anything to say about that, people? About Gemini or Coinbase and Ballet? Anything? Final thoughts there, people?
Get it off the exchange. Just get it off.
All right. All right, and Deniz, I'm letting you end the show. You have anything to talk about what you're doing personally?
Nothing crazy. Just working on Coinbase. I want to thank you guys for this. John, Anders, you guys are really killing it out there. A lot of in motion people here. And thank you, Adam, again for getting me the gig with Coinbase in the first place. That was awesome.
Yeah, man, you're in motion. You jumped on it, and may Coinbase grow beast. It sounds like Coinbase. We're saying Coinbeast. It's linked to below, people. Their TikTok, Coinbeast. They're trying to be like CoinDesk, Cointelegraph. They're working on it. Compete, don't complain. We need more media outlets in this space. I love the competition. I love how anyone can come here. So thank you, panel. Remember, we do this every freaking Friday. Is This Week in Bitcoin? All you guys are rock. All you guys are unique beasts. Shabbat shalom. I'm Adam Meister, the BitcoinMeister. You'll get tomorrow's the Bitcoin Noise Show here late on Saturday night. Follow me on Twitter at TechBot. Follow all these guys on Twitter. They are all linked to link to below. Compete, don't complain. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great weekend. Shabbat shalom. See ya.
See you guys.
Thanks all.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
All right.